Yo sup, this is Ny3. Master Guide 5 is finally out. I've been waiting for this for a while. For those of you who don't know, the Master Guides are pretty much the explanations behind card lores. And Master Guide 5 contains the lore behind Duel Terminal Season 3, which is what I'm interested in this book. So today I want to share with you guys the Duel Terminal Season 3 lore. Just a couple of disclaimers before we begin. This is my interpretation after reading all of the source material. I may be wrong at some points. I suggest everyone to read the translation on Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization themselves, and if they can, buy the official book. Also, there may be some strong languages used in these videos. Now, Duel Terminal Seasons 1, 2, and 3, they've all been pretty great stories, but I think Duel Terminal Season 3 has the most interesting story overall. It deals with gods as well as the Duel Terminal planet itself. So without further ado, let's get into the story. So just some background knowledge on the planet itself. Life and death on this planet is regulated by this tree called the Ny3 Sacred Tree. It regulates the reincarnation of all living beings on the planet. Now, the power of this god tree is used by two gods, Sophia, goddess of rebirth, and Tiara, source of destruction, being the gods of creation and destruction respectively. They control the Sephiroth and the Qliphoth, which are very similar to the Zephyr and the Qliphoth. One day, Sophia woke up in a pretty bad mood or something, probably was PMSing, but decides to be a bitch and just fucking body Tiara. So Tiara got wrecked, like fucking wrecked, and Sophia now holds the powers of both creation and destruction, being the only god of the Duel Terminal world. Sophia also has full control over the sacred tree. Now, Tiara wasn't dead. Sophia probably couldn't kill Tiara, so Sophia just decided to seal Tiara in the sacred tree. PM me when you get out of the fucking tree, which of course is fucking impossible, since she's fucking dead, and broke his core into 10 fragments, which were scattered around the world. So these 10 fragments became the 10 non-fusion gem knights later on. Now there is an 11th non-fusion gem knight. The 10th gem knight is actually a fusion monster, aka Diamond, and there is an 11th non-fusion gem knight which does not have a fragment associated with it, which is actually pretty important later on down in the story. But yeah, after all of that, you can imagine Tiara was pretty pissed off that he got fucking wrecked, his powers stolen from him, and his core broken into 10 pieces and scattered around the world. Despite all of that, Tiara still had very tiny influences over the planet, so he began making his comeback from inside the tree. Now, for those of you who are familiar with what happened at the end of Duel Terminal Season 2, Sophia was defeated by Constella Sombre, Evil Swarm Kerikion. Tiara, sensing this opportunity, makes his move. Now, Sombre and Kerikion has become gods. They absorb the power of Sophia. You know, they're pretty much newbies at wielding the powers of creation and destruction. So they feel the disturbance in the force, and they're like, what the fuck is this? Because they have no idea who Tiara is. You know, these events happened aeons ago. So they began searching around for clues and decided to hit up the sacred tree. And they meet up with some old friends, the Ritual Beast, which were the descendants of the Gustos, Necros, which were the descendants of the Gishki, Ny3 Leo Drake, and Steel Swarm Roach. They threw a cold one to Ny3 Leo Drake and Steel Swarm Roach, transforming them into Excidon and Leo, since it was infused with divine powers, and told them, yo, something might happen to the tree later, so we're just gonna give you this power boost and hopefully you can protect it if something happens. Yeah, after the party at the tree, Sombre and Kerikion decided to split up to find more buddies to protect the tree and so forth, since they're sensing something bad is happening somewhere. Sombre went looking for ley lines in the world, Yangzing ley lines being translated into Yangzing prana in the TCG. Sombre has 8 of the Gem Knight gems in total, 7 from Gem Knight Master Diamond's sword, and 1 from herself from when she used to be Gem Knight Seraphonite. So she created 8 Yang Zings. She wanted 9, but she didn't have 9 Gem Knight gems to do it. And I think the triangles on the chest of every Yang Zing contains a Gem Knight fragment. That's what that is about. Yeah, the original 8 Yang Zings are Suani, Bian, Bixi, Pulao, an uncorrupted version of Taotai, a pre-Zephyra version of Zephraxi, a pre-Zephyra version of Zephyr New, and Chalfing, which I presume to be a non-synchro version of Chalfing, since Yang Zings at this point does not have the ability to synchro summon yet. Kerrikion, on the other hand, decided to be an idiot pretty much. He found the reincarnation of Gem Knight Master Diamond, who was being a dick to everybody. Now, Master Diamond was his buddy, so he couldn't just let this go. But Master Diamond's reincarnation took on the form of Karen Gorgon, the anti-luminescent knight. Kerrikion decided to try and solo Karen Gorgon, which is a pretty bad idea since Kerrikion had like 900 less attack points than Karen Gorgon. But Kerrikion, just being retarded and all, tried to solo it, thinks he's cool with his newfound god powers, but nah, he got fucking wrecked, because he was quote-unquote holding back against his former friend. But this was pretty much the trigger for almost the end of the world. Karen Gorgon absorbing Kerrikion and his godly destruction powers turned into Shadow Core, which had the power to reincarnate those who have fallen during Duel Terminal Season 2. Now that's not all about the Shadows, but he couldn't just reincarnate anyone. He could only reincarnate the ones that were part of Tiara's plan. So Tiara has been trapping the souls in the Secret Tree instead of letting them reincarnate. So the Shadows are kind of like soulless bodies reincarnated without the souls. But yeah, since Shadow Core was pretty much a god, he could revive these Shadows, but not perfectly. But of course, this was all part of Tiara's plan to make a comeback. First, he needs to collect the 10 fragments that his own core was separated into, 8 of which are now part of the Yang Zings, 1 of which Shadow Core has himself. After that, he also needs his power of destruction, as well as the power of creation. The power of destruction is in Shadow Core as well, since Kerrikion was being stupid and lost that battle with Karen Gorgon. The power of creation was obviously with Sombre. But anyways, Sombre felt that Kerrikion fucked up, so he sent his Yang Zings into battle against the Shadows. So this was the first confrontation of the new season. Now the Yang Zings got fucking wrecked by the Shadows. They even got Suani and Pulao corrupted into Shadows, which is going to be an ongoing thing for the Shadow portion of the story. The Shadow army just keeps getting bigger and bigger because they keep corrupting more and more things. And of course, the opposition is going to have the army get smaller and smaller. So yeah, the Yang Zings pretty much just got steamrolled. Yeah, Sombre sees this, being a former Constellar and all, is able to call upon the power of the stars. So Chiwen falls from the sky via Yang Zing path. Now, Chiwen is not actually the 9th Yang Zing. It's kind of a special Yang Zing that just fell from the stars. And Chiwen has the power of Constellars to combine things together. Constellars used it for Exceed summoning. Chiwen, being a tuner, can combine things via Synchro summoning. And Chiwen pretty much combined all of the Yang Zings, including the corrupted ones, into Baxia. Like, fuck the levels. I'm just gonna combine like 30 levels worth of shit into a level 8 Baxia. Like, alright, cool. Baxia wiped some shit out. But yeah, this is when the Talonites joined the battle. So the Talonites sensed Baxia's creation. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's go down and check it out. Now, the Talonites are pretty much the descendants of the Constellars. Sombre sees this and be like, hey, you guys are pretty cool. You remind me of my old buddies. Here, have a cold one each. And threw them the constellation rings that used to belong to the Constellars. So yeah, the Tellarknights got a preemptive power boost before they head into battle against the Shadows as well. So the first wave of Tellarknights, we have Deneb, Altair, Vega, Alsam, and Unukalai. They were pretty scrubbed. They couldn't even exceed summon for some reason at this point. So they allied with the Yang Zings to try to beat the Shadows, but pretty much got fucking steamrolled again. Unukalai felt Karakion inside of Shadow Core, so he tried to reach in and grab Karakion out, but failed and got corrupted into Shadow Squamata instead. But it wasn't all for nothing, since they did manage to get Karakion's staff out of there in the process, and he chucked it to Deneb. So Deneb gets a power up with Karakion's staff, and they're able to exceed summon now. So they learned how to exceed summon from Karakion. Deneb, Altair, and Vega exceed summoned into Deltaros. The Yang Zings at this point pretty much all went extinct. Like all 8 of them got corrupted by the Shadows just to get Karakion's staff out so the Tellarknights can exceed summon. It's not really worth it since the Tellarknight versus Shadow battle has pretty much become the Tellarknights versus Shadow and Yang Zings now. And also the Shadow side has 10 fragments as well as the powers of destruction. So that's like, so you know, they're already over 50% completion of the objective. The other part where the Tellarknights fucked up in is letting the Shadows take Unukalai, since the power to combine is from the stars itself, so the Shadows didn't really have the abilities to fuse before they corrupted Unukalai into Squamata. Yeah, now that they can fuse, they fuse Squamata and Big C into Jiaotu, so that's how Jiaotu was created. Taotai, the only version of Taotai we get is actually the corrupted version. We never saw Taotai's original version. But yeah, they also managed to combine Jiaotu and Taotai into Yazi. So this was kind of the end of the Duelist Alliance part of the story. We're moving on to the new challenges part of the story. So yeah, the Shadows have Yazi on its side now. So the Tellarknights are pretty fucked. Because, yeah, you know, Deltaros knew he was not in a very good position here and called Cyrus, Procyon, and Betelgeuse in as reinforcements from the stars.
Reinforcements have arrived.
They have no outs to Yazi. I mean, you can't target it. They need Trevor, which did come out in the new challenges, to stand a chance against that shit. You know, this shit got steamrolled by the Shadows pretty quick, and they corrupted Cyrus into Shadow Hound.
Unit lost.
But just as that was happening, Betelgeuse overlaid himself with Procyon and Cyrus into Trevor. So I don't think Shadows ever actually got Shadow Hound, or maybe the Tellarknights were just cheating and overlaid a Shadow for Trevor, which requires 3 Tellarknights to make. Yeah, I'm not really sure. You can normal summon twice in Prague. You get 2 battle phases in Denver. Maybe in the Duel Terminal. Maybe in YCS Duel Terminal, Trevor is a generic exceed. Yeah. Tellarknights, pretty cool. They got Deltaros and Trevor now. You know, they can like Trevor loop everything. That the Shadows get another boost. Our Shadow construct used to be Gem Knight Lapis. So that's where the 10th Gem Knight fragment was. You know, they have all 10 fragments. They have the power of destruction. Now all they need to do is get the power of creation and make their way to the sacred tree. But conveniently enough, just combining all 10 into the core with Shadow Core upgraded it into our Shadow Grista. And you know, our Shadow construct is just as powerful as ever. We never even got an explanation why this shit is so powerful, but it just is. So yeah, they start making their way to the sacred tree, but they still lost in a 2v2 against Construct and Grista. So they fled back to the sacred tree where their buddies Exciton, Leo, and the secret forces were waiting for them. So yeah, But they're down to their last line of defense already, with the Shadow invasion closing in. Next time, find out if the Teller Ritual Beast Necros alliance can beat the Shadows or not. Things were looking pretty bad as they form up into their final line of defense against the Shadows.